Patience is a skill we must master. Those are words of Conor McGregor when he was still actually hungry for that belt. Like, he was still training consistently over a long period of time, just waiting for his chance to get that belt. And then he famously said that. I mean, let's say you were the most hardworking, the most talented guy out there, most talented and hardworking fighter. The time it will take you from just starting out in fighting to becoming like a world champion will be at least a decade. It won't be any shorter than that. Sorry to tell you, there are no shortcuts. I mean, there are some very, very few exceptions. Like you've got Volkanovski or Francis Ngannou, for example. But those guys, they did some really hard physical shit before that even. Like Volkanovski was a 5'6", 200-pound rugby player. Like he did that all his life, pretty much up until he started fighting. And then it took him like maybe like 8 years or so from him starting out in wrestling, literally from just wrestling in preseason just to get ready for the actual rugby season. And then maybe took him like 8 years. And for Ngannou, he literally worked like a sand mine from the age he was 10. I mean, you all have heard that story probably. And I mean, that really built up his body for him then starting boxing at like, what, 26? And then it took him like, yeah, another 6 or 7 years to him becoming like a UFC heavyweight champion. Don't know how he did that, but I mean, he did that. So yeah, I mean, there are very, very few exceptions. So don't just don't just say, oh yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe I'm gonna be the next Volkanovski. I'm like so talented. Probably not. You're probably not. I mean, also fighters just tend to peak later than the guys in other sports. Like you have like Yoel Romero, he was like on top of his game at like 42, 43 or something. Or like Glover Teixeira, he was light heavyweight champion at 42. I mean, those guys tend to peak pretty late. Like in soccer, it's for example like you have all these wonder kids, they're like 18, 19, 20, and they're like seen as already like top 10 players sometimes. And really in fighting, just the longer you do it, the better your technique gets. And we all should know by now that technique is the most important thing when it comes to fighting. And technique, it just takes repetition after repetition over years, maybe decades. And yeah, I see a lot of guys they just quit because they just get their ass kicked by some guys who have been doing that shit for years. And I mean, honestly, what do they expect? Like they've been training for what, 3 months, and they go against a guy who's been doing that shit since he's 8. He's been doing that for 20 years now. Well, obviously, they're not gonna be very good then. Obviously, they're gonna get their ass kicked, and at the start, progress is pretty slow. Gets kind of like just it's like a curve like this. It goes from here and it starts slow and then shoots up as you progress with time, because then you start just realizing, okay, I'm playing, like I have to play the long game. And that's really the point when you realize that, and then it just shoots up. And that's what I've been realizing as well. Like I've been doing MMA like what, 4 or 5 months now, and honestly the first 3 months I barely even noticed any progress. Like I was sparring with some guys, and I just realized, fuck, like I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. And really, then it just started hitting me like, well, yeah, this shit's gonna take years. So like honestly, just it takes time. Just go with the flow. Like just get more information. Just do a lot of repetition, a lot of technique, all of that. Ask the other guys in the gym for advice to get better. And yeah, then just, as I just said, repeat that for many years. Work on your technique. And then when you really have also like realized you've taken a step, a jump, then you can do like sparring. You can really like use that, your knowledge you've gained. Yeah, for the past month now, I've really actually made some progress. I finally noticed that, and yeah, finally when I was sparring a bit, I was grappling. Yeah, like grappling, just rolling with a guy, and he really noticed as well, like because I've taken a little break from grappling. I've just used the time to work on some chokes because before that I basically knew how to do a rear naked choke and that was it. So I really worked on some chokes and he really realized like you've gotten better in the last 2 weeks. And so that's really just a nice feeling when you know after all this time it finally paid off, you finally made some progress. And so yeah, felt good to finally have at least a small chance against those guys. And yeah, you just gotta play the long game. You're in this for a long time. You're gonna be in this for years. So just don't rush things as well. Don't just rush your first fights. That's what I'm just taking for myself. Like I'm really gonna train for like 2 or 3 years before I'm gonna take my first fight. And then I will just go from there. So yeah, that's what I can give. That's the information I can give you today. Hope you've learned a bit once again. And we'll see you next time.